Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Gambit Nerd Corner, where we are again pondering the mysteries of life and thinking what to do against White's various paths forward in the game when we have the black pieces. And I am forced to revisit the Spanish. Okay, so we're starting in openingtree.com. A really good place to analyze your history. So this is from the start of this year, and I have played, I think I've faced 222, no, I've faced 177 Roy Lopez's. Now, to here, I have been playing the move f5, okay, which is known as the Schliemann defense or the Jaenisch Gambit. It's not the strongest, okay? And I've got people saying, oh, you should look into the martial attack, you should look into this, that, and the other, play something a bit more regular. And I think it's maybe time. So here are my results. So we've got 84 wins for White, 87 wins for me after the move f5, right? So very often they'll exchange, that's the most common. They exchange, we take back the d pawn, and if they take the gambited pawn, I'm doing fairly well, 22 against 17. If they exchange, I'm doing fairly well, 33 against 25. But, for example, d3, I'm worse, right? d4, I'm equal. d3 is the second most common move, and it's just annoying, right? I'll tend to take here, but, you know, bottom line is, it's not really sound. Now, I was looking at a video by Volklus, and it's nearly 12 hours long because he goes through every single gambit. And tucked away here at position number 286 is something called the Kevitz Gambit. And I thought, hello, this could be interesting. So let's just refresh our memory, right? From here, after f5, okay, it's pretty 50.9%, right, win rate, you know, taking out the draws. So it's kind of 50-50 for black. Now that ain't bad. That's my record. It ain't bad. Let's see if we can do better though, okay? So I've made you a study and let's dive in. So what is the Kevitz Gambit? Well, the Kevitz Gambit comes from, is it El Juego Español, the Spanish game, the Roy Lopez. Now, let's have a look. So here, the move f5 is effective. You know, at this level, it's got a 51% win rate, which is around what I have been seeing. And I'll tell you what I've got this set to. This is set to rapid and above. If I had blitz, no, I'm not going to add blitz. We're not blitz specialists over here. So it is a surprise weapon, for sure. It is a surprise weapon. But from point 2, it's giving away half a pawn. Okay, it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world, right? But the Kevitz Gambit is kind of similar because we are going to throw in f5. That's the plan. But first we're going to throw in g6. Now g6 is the fianchetto defense against the Spanish, and it's also quite rare in its own right with a 0%. So out of 5.2 million games, g6 has only been played 18%. So we are already achieving number 1 on our checklist, which is surprise White. Okay, so we play the move g6. And now they've got a few options. Actually, the most common thing that you'll see at this level is to short castle. The move that we're looking for is the move c3. So I've actually got that on because it's the second, it's not the most common move. Okay, so let's see what happens if they push c3. If they push c3, now we throw in d5. And it says it's 1.1, but black here wins 57%. That's better than 50-51, okay? And so I will show you like the main line. The main line is that they accept actually here. E takes f5, we're winning 55%. Okay, and of course we push on. You don't just recapture. The whole point of these Kruger lines, you know, is to win the tempo against this knight, like you do in the Vienna Gambit. Now, they will very often capture here, okay, and they've gone from plus 0.5 to minus 0.7, so it's not great. And again, we capture with the D pawn. We've still got pressure against the knight. Most common move, they'll come out into the center, and you just push on. They come in again. You trade off, okay, and now in comes the queen. Queen D3. What's the point of this? Well, we've just got a lockdown on white. He can't castle. We're about probably to long castle. Okay, they will normally now play Queen E2. Okay, at which point we can simply long castle, right? So if they do this, long castles is best. You can play out your knight. You can play your bishop here. It's kind of open. It's kind of free. It's kind of fun. Okay, and if they trade queens here, then you get a pawn lodged right down their throat. They're never going to move this pawn. This bishop's going to have a torrid time trying to get into the game. All is good. So let's go back to this one, okay? The Spanish game, G6, the Fianchetto defense. Now, so yeah, notice the Fianchetto defense does score well. It's 48%. That ain't bad. You know, the dubious F5 is 51%. So we do this. Okay, most common move actually is that they will castle, and this is more common than C3. Castles is plus 0.3. So you know, so they're both good. They're both good. I'm just going to alter my note here because it was inaccurate. Okay, and here black's winning 48% against 44. Okay, so what we can do is just proceed with the Fianchetto. Right now they push C3 is most common. All right, and you've got many options here. Knight Ge7 is the most commonly played move, which isn't bad. But I'm proposing here A6. You put the question to the bishop. Bishop retreats. You can push D6 and break the pin here. They will push on, and we retreat the knight, and we play on. Okay, this is useful because look at this pawn on D5 here. You cannot permit this under any circumstances, right? We don't want that knight to be able to come into here. Okay, so that's the most common line that you're going to see. And how do we feel about this? Right, our knights are having a bit of trouble, but again we've got options to castle queenside. Point is, black's winning 53% out of 68 games, right, against 34 and 13% draws from here. They will probably develop. Let's just play it through a little bit. They develop, now their advantage is just whittled away. And the F5 break now. Okay, interesting. Knight E1. Knight E1 is the most commonly played move here. Okay, and we can simply take. Right, we're opening up this king side. They take back with the knight. You can play knight F6. Try and trade off again. Computer says knight F5 is better. Queen F5, you know, nothing wrong with castles. It's all good. It's all good. Okay, let's have another look at this exchange variation because that is going to be common. So this is from the Kevitz accepted. They accept, we push, they first take. Right, we take back with this pawn. Now we've looked at knight coming into D4 on the previous one. Knight comes in here. Basically, we want to develop the dark squared bishop. We want to kick the knight away. There's two squares we can do that from, but we should proceed with the original plan, which is bishop G7. They will defend. We trade off. We trade the queens off, and we're laughing now. This is good. We can recapture this pawn. Actually, pawn takes is slightly better, just reinforcing our central pawn on E4. And we're going to long castle with check. All right. So whichever way you look at it, black is just slightly better here. Okay, let's look at a couple of other lines that you might see. What if they decline with, so we play that, this is the Kevitz Gambit, okay? If they decline with D3, it's not fantastic. You can just trade off in the center, develop your knight, push D6, and just play on from here. Again, we'll probably end up long castling, have a kingside attack, right? That suits me, down to the ground. Just two more little sidelines here. If they do the immediate exchange. Again, we capture out away from the centre with a d pawn. And the most common move here is 38%. So you're not going to see it all the time. They might castle, they might push d3. Okay, castles, d3, d4 are also seen. The most common move though is this, and this is bad even in the regular Roy Lopez exchange. So again, the obvious move is queen d4. It's a fork on the knight and the pawn. Right? They have to save the knight. You win the pawn. You trade off the queens. You develop your bishop targeting this pawn on c2. And again, the idea is long castles and just boom, balls out attack. I'm liking this. One more. One for the road. Okay, do this. What about d4? d4 is pretty good. Okay, so what we do is we trade off and you can just proceed with the fianchetto. Okay? Develop the king's knight as normal. They develop the castle. Come out into the centre. All fairly normal stuff, right? So, I don't know. Let me know what you think about that one. But to me, I mean, what I need to do is I need to try and understand the spirit of it. But I think this is a gambit that you're going to see quite often. But this move, like I said, this move is only played like 1 in 7 games. So more often you're just going to see castles. But then we're into the Roy Lopez fianchetto variation, which again, like I say, white is not going to be that familiar with. So yeah, I'm feeling quite good about it. But let's see how it goes when we try it out for real. So there you go. The Kevitz Gambit, everybody. Thanks for watching. See you later.